Get ready for the action because the UFC Winnipeg is officially in the books. We are diving straight into the post-fight press conference video, where you can catch all the biggest reactions, official bonus winners, and so much more from the night of violent action featuring Gilbert Burns and Mike Malott.
Tired of dropping your phone or struggling to hold it with one hand? The PopSocket's Pop Grip gives you a secure grip, works as a phone stand, and even lets you swap the top for a fresh new look. Simple, useful, and perfect for everyday phone use. Click the link in the comments to grab yours on Amazon.
Next up, we look at the exciting momentum building in the division. Sedalia native Gage Young just secured his second career UFC victory by defeating Thiago Moises by split decision, and we break down everything you need to know about this impressive performance. But the story doesn't end there. We turn our attention to the retirement announcement as former UFC welterweight title challenger Gilbert Burns officially hangs up his gloves after his loss to Mike Malott at UFC Fight Night in Winnipeg. And we have the full breakdown on that massive victory. Mike Malott earned the biggest win of his mixed martial arts career by stopping Gilbert Burns via technical knockout, sending the Canadian legend into retirement, and we'll keep you updated on the fallout. Stay with us. UFC Winnipeg has concluded its action, and fans can now access the post-fight press conference video for the Burns vs. Malott bout, available live on Paramount+. The event took place on Saturday, April 18, 2026, inside the Canada Life Centre in Winnipeg, Manitoba. The video features reactions, official bonus winners, and more from the post-fight discussion. The night featured a compelling matchup where great Canadian hope, Mike Malott, challenged the formidable Gilbert Burns, while Jourdain sought his third consecutive victory against Kyler Phillips. The post-fight presser is scheduled to go live around 11:15 p.m. ET, and will highlight the biggest winners and losers from the international card. Notably, UFC CEO Dana White was not present at the event in Canada. Sedalia native Gage Young secured his second career victory in the UFC, defeating Brazilian native Thiago Moises by split decision during the main card of UFC Fight Night held on Saturday, April 18. The win marks a significant achievement for the Sedalia fighter in his professional MMA journey. Former UFC welterweight title challenger Gilbert Burns has officially announced his retirement after a decisive knockout loss to Mike Malott at UFC Fight Night in Winnipeg. Burns removed his gloves and brought his family into the octagon to make the announcement, marking the end of a distinguished professional career. Burns, 39, has been competing professionally since 2007 and exclusively in the UFC since 2014. In his post-fight interview, Burns expressed contentment, stating, "I think that's it. I had a great career. I fought so hard. I wanted to win so bad. I fought the best guys in the world, pound for pound, a lot of champions. I never said no to a fight. I'm content." The fight that concluded his career saw Mike Malott secure a victory by dropping Burns with a clean left hook in the third round at the 2:08 mark. This marked Burns's fifth consecutive loss, including 3 knockout defeats. His last professional win was against Jorge Masvidal in April 2023. Burns's UFC tenure included a high-profile challenge against teammate and former #1 pound-for-pound candidate Kamaru Usman for the UFC championship in February 2021, where he was defeated by a third-round knockout. He was a consistent fixture in the welterweight rankings, boasting victories over fighters such as Demian Maia, Tyron Woodley, and Stephen Thompson. Earlier in 2022, he engaged in a back-and-forth bout with welterweight contender Khamzat Chimaev at Fight of the Night, ultimately losing by unanimous decision. Mike Malott, hailing from Ontario, Canada, claimed his 4th consecutive victory with the win over Burns, positioning him to potentially break into the UFC's top 10 rankings. Mike Malott secured a monumental victory Saturday night in Winnipeg, earning what is being hailed as the biggest win of his mixed martial arts career. The Canadian welterweight stopped Gilbert Burns via technical knockout in the featured bout of a UFC Fight Night event. The 170-pound fighters engaged in a fierce exchange of punches and kicks across 2.5 rounds before Malott delivered a decisive clubbing left hook and a right hand midway through the third round, thrilling the home crowd. This win marks Malott's first main event spotlight, establishing him as the first Canadian fighter to headline a UFC event in Canada since Rory MacDonald in 2016. Malott joins MacDonald and Georges St. Pierre as the only Canadian fighters in UFC history to main event a Canadian card. The Burlington, Ontario native improved his record to 7-1 in the UFC with the victory and is set to challenge for welterweight contender rankings next week, as Burns entered the match ranked number 11. Following the win, Malott demonstrated respect for his opponent, calling Gilbert Burns a legend. Burns, 39, was visibly emotional after the contest, reportedly in tears. Having not fought since a one-round knockout by Michael Morales 11 months prior, Burns announced his retirement, laying his gloves in the cage as a symbol of his decision to hang up his gloves. Burns had fallen to a 7-7 record since moving from lightweight to welterweight in 2019. The Jiu-Jitsu black belt is a one-time title challenger at 170 pounds with notable wins over fighters including Jorge Masvidal, Neil Magny, Stephen Thompson, Demian Maia, and former champion Tyron Woodley, and he has shared the cage with champions like Khamzat Chimaev and Kamaru Usman. Malott, 34, achieved 4 consecutive wins overall. He made no calls for his next fight, but showed deference to Burns. The event featured 9 Canadian fighters on the 12-bout lineup at the Canada Life Centre. While home fighters were disappointing 1-4 on the preliminary card, they finished 3-1 on the main card. In other bouts, Charles Jourdain extended his winning streak to 3 consecutive victories in the bantamweight division by edging out a 2-1 unanimous decision against Kyler Phillips. Jourdain, 30, is now 3-0 since moving down in weight in 2024. Meanwhile, Mandel Nallo made an early impression in his 2-minute debut before being stopped by Jai Herbert in a fast-paced contest. Jasmine Jasudavicius of St. Catharines, Ontario, secured a unanimous decision win over Brazil's Karine Silva, though she expressed dissatisfaction with the performance, wishing for a finish. Jasudavicius entered the weekend as the number 7 ranked contender at 125 pounds. Lightweights Thiago Moises and Gage Young kicked off the main card, with Young winning by decision after 15 minutes. This event marks the organization's 3rd gathering in Winnipeg and its 6th UFC event held in Canada since 2023, totaling 37 all-time occurrences.